fellow travelers, Mitch's World Travel here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now this video today is all about me giving tips and advice on how to make your trip planning a little bit easier wherever you're going, and to make it less stressful and fun and smooth sailing from start to finish. So let's get right into it. Now I'll add a few things at the end of the video, so just stay tuned for that. So I have made a list on here on a couple of things that I do want to explain a little bit about and what I do, and who knows, it could probably work for you or not, but you don't really have to follow exactly what I do. It's just my bit of advice, how I do things, and it could work for you. So let's get into it, shall we? Now the first tip that I want to give, number one, is hotels and flights, which falls under the same category, or the same tip really. So what I generally do is I book my flights and accommodations months and months in advance before I actually go on my trip, because it gives me time to budget, which is the second tip, which I will be going over in just a second. So months in advance for my flights and accommodations. Now there are many websites out there, hundreds upon hundreds of websites where you can go to plan to pay your trips, your hotels and flights, but I'm only going to be mentioning three, and only one of them I use a lot. So let's get into it. So the first website I want to I recommend that you can go look out for is Traveltips.com. Now the only reason for this, for that website being in this video, is because I've been seeing a lot of advertisements on the TV for it online on YouTube videos, or on the TV at work, even in the TV in the lounge room. I see it a lot, so I thought I'll have a look at it, and I did. And it's not really for me, but it could be for you. Now Expedia.com is also a website that I would also recommend using, because it has a neat feature, or neat ability that I really do like, that I did wish the other website had, but it doesn't. But I'll explain to you why I prefer the other website to these two. So Expedia has this function where you can choose hotel plus flights combined together, or you can have it separate if you do want to. If you already booked your accommodation or your flight at a different location, then you can choose which one you ever want. So with the flight and hotel combined together is good for people that's on a tight budget, or good for people that want to only pay one big sum for everything, which that ability of a website grants you. It shoots out a big total sum of how much is going to be per person for that few nights that you want to go, or that certain amount of nights that you want to be there for, which is good. But I generally can get it for much cheaper than they are offering, because Expedia is often as more expensive than the three that I'm mentioning here. So yeah, I don't really use Expedia, but it's there for you to use if you do so wish, because I also see advertisements for Expedia online and on the TV. So there you go. Booking.com though is the one I would highly recommend everyone go and have a look or use if you so wish. Now the feature, the hotel and flight feature, which Expedia has, I wish that Booking.com had it, but then again, I don't book my flights through Booking.com, because like I said, I can generally find it much cheaper through airlines like Scoot, Air Asia, or Webjet, or whatever. So it's there for you to use it on Booking.com if you so wish, but I don't do that. I only use it for my accommodations. Now the reason why I like Expedia, Booking.com so much over the other two, is it has a feature called or ability called book now, pay later, or no prepayments required, which I really do like. Say for example, you are attracted to this one specific hotel and a room that looks so beautiful, but it's a little bit out of your price range right now. Then when it has that feature available for that room, you can book that room straight away, and then pay late on a later date or pay when you get to the actual hotel. But generally, with that feature available, you have a certain amount of time. Say you booked your for the room for next year March, and you're booking it right now. You generally have maybe about 3 months or so time to either cancel the booking if you so wish and not pay a penalty at all. But after a certain amount of time and you do cancel it, you do end up paying a fine for it, or they will get you to pay the full price of that room. But hey, that rarely happens. But I mean, it does happen if you tend to change your mind quite often. So, but I do like the feature in case I do tend to change my mind. Then it's there. So, but that being said, not all hotels advertised on Booking.com allows that to be used for them, and not even if it is allowed for that hotel, it's not all of the rooms doesn't have that feature associated with that room. So just be aware of that. But it's a good feature to have, at least from my opinion. It is, because it's just better. It's just awesome. Awesome. So now the third tip that I want to mention is budgeting. Now, the reason being why I book my flights and accommodations months in advance, so it frees up my time, and then I don't have to worry about paying for my booking for my accommodation or flights. Then I can just worry and save up money, after I paid all that stuff, and just budgeting all of my money that I make before I head off for my holiday. So I can then budget exactly how much I want to spend per day at that said destination or not. But I will say I generally do not budget as much. I generally budget on the go when I'm at the destination, because I might spend one amount one day and another different amount on a different day. So I mean, if you want to do that, you can budget as much as you like. It is all your decision. But I just generally try to budget just a little bit. But hey, for some people, budgeting is very, very big, so that's why I put it in there for you, just as a bit of a tip. So that's that. The fourth tip, number 4, I want to give is countries, regulations, and laws. So your specific destination where you're going, if you're going to Bali or the Philippines, do some research, even if it's just a little bit. Do some research on the laws and regulations of that country, to know exactly what you can and cannot do. Because you might do something in your country that's deemed to be okay and legal, but it might not be deemed okay or legal in that country that you're going to, or it could be illegal, or it could be seen as bad in that country's society or people or culture. So you don't want to be insensitive or rude or arrogant or disrespectful. So please do make sure that you do research just a little bit, even if it's just a little bit, about the country's culture, laws. So try to be respectful when you approach people in that country, or any country for that matter. And so you don't make a fool out of yourself, because it tends to reflect back onto the country that you're from, and then they tend to think that everyone that comes from that country is like the way you are, or the way that people act like a fool or an idiot or anything like that. So please be mindful of the people from that destination that you are going to. So that's just one tip. Now, the 5th tip I want to add is medication/shots. And what I mean by shots is vaccinations. Now, people have different opinions about this, but for me, I think vaccinations, it is a must-have for any country that you're going to, because you might get sick, but if you have the vaccinations, it only decreases the risk of you getting sick at that certain country that you're going to. For me, for example, I was an idiot really. I did get my vaccinations, but it's best to go to your GP first to find out exactly what vaccinations you do need for the destination that you're going to. And if you do tell them, they will print out the list of what you need and won't need. They will ask you certain questions that you have to answer truthfully, and if you don't, you could end up getting seriously sick. But here it is where other people's opinions do come in, where most think it's not really needed because some people don't get sick. But there's also an often chance that you might get sick, or those people might get sick in the future. So it's best to have a vaccination done just in case, just to minimize your risk. Now, I was a fool, I was an idiot, because I did get the vaccinations required, but I got it a little bit too late, so I still got sick. It could probably be because of the climate and humidity, or it could be that I probably have eaten something that wasn't, good, because I got a bit of a sinus infection, and not really diarrhea, but something in that particular area, and I got it too late, the vaccination. So if you do tend to get vaccinations for a specific country they're going to, try to get at least 3 to 4 weeks in advance before you leave, so that your body have time to adjust to and build up immunity to whatever might be loose over in that particular country. So just be wary of that. Now the sixth tip that I want to share is, try not to, when you go into a country like Bali or Philippines, try not to wear any fancy jewelry or fancy electronics around your wrist or neck or whatever. Maybe 1 or 2 cameras is fine, I guess, but even that, you will still be getting charged a lot of money for certain few things that you want to buy off street store shops. So like in the Philippines, for example, when they see a foreigner, they generally think that foreigners are rich and have a lot of money. But from your perspective, you think you don't have a lot of money, but for them, they think that you do have a lot of money. So that then they tend up to bump up the prices of their items significantly higher than they would charge for the locals. So be wary of that you will be charged more. But generally you can negotiate the price down, and sometimes 9 out of 10 they will give in to the pressure, they will give in to your demand, and they will bring down the price quite low for you, so you get a good deal. But here's another tip, like Tony in the Philippines said, if you're dating a Filipino or a Filipino for a girl and a Filipino for a man, if you're going out with them throughout the streets and you think of you want to buy something, try to step back a little bit and let your Filipino go to that stall, that the item that you want to have, and try to negotiate a better price and try to get her or him to buy it for you. Because once they see that you are with that Filipina, the foreigner, then they will still bump up the price, and chances are they probably won't come down with the price at all because you're a foreigner. So that's that. It also helps not to wear fancy items, to just in case that you might get robbed or mugged or anything in that particular nature. So just beware of that. But then again, people will have disagreement or opinions other than mine that think different. But then again, that's okay. That's what they think. But that's just what I think. But hey, you could not get robbed or mugged, but chances are that you can. So just be wary of that. Now the tip number 7, which goes with budget but also goes with travel insurance, so that goes hand in hand, is more money. I generally save up more than enough for my trips, just in case I really do need the extra funds. Just in case I run out of money, then I have some extra funds in case I needed to buy some or pay, like for example in the Philippines, travel terminal tax that you have to pay. Then I have money. I almost ran out of money. I almost did, but I ended up not using any money in the last couple of days leading up to our departure from the Philippines, and so that I was able to pay the terminal tax. So just be wary that there's some things that can happen where you do need extra money. So be wary to keep a little bit of money tucked away in case you do need it. But travel insurance, in my opinion, which is number 8, which falls again, like I said, into the more money tip, is to have travel insurance. It's an essential part of traveling. Doesn't matter where you're going. unless you're going traveling in your own domestic, your own native country, then you don't need it. But if you're going overseas, do get travel insurance, because you never know what might happen. You could easily seriously get sick. You could break a bone, arm or a leg, or you can get to a serious crash and you hurt yourself. Or you could get your passport stolen, your money stolen, all your documents, your luggage. And if you don't have travel insurance, there's nothing that you can do. You probably cannot claim it back or anything. So it's good to have travel insurance just for unexpected things that could happen. So that's a must-have in my opinion. But then again, other people might think differently, but that's just what I think. So that's really it, guys. I don't really have anything else to add apart from traveling tips. I do apologize in advance. Well, I do apologize for if I do sound a little bit nervous or struggling to say, to get to words, because I don't really generally do very well face to face to a camera like this. I do have my points that I do want to talk about, but sometimes I tend to talk a little bit too fast. I've noticed, but I do try to slow it down just a little bit, and I try not to repeat myself too much, to look like an idiot. So please I do apologize. But I am trying my very best. I'm trying to get better, and hopefully I will get better in doing these face-to-face videos or vlogs or whatever. So that being said, I am going to Bali in January, like I mentioned before in my previous video, the big announcement video, and I think a little bit here in the beginning. So like I said, I'm getting married. We're going to Bali for our honeymoon, and which I cannot wait. I will mention this again. I will be doing tons and tons of videos of our honeymoon in Bali, but here's another thing I want to ask you guys what your opinions and your thoughts on it is about scooters, hiring a scooter in Bali. Now, I've never been to Bali before, and I have thought of it for a while to actually get a scooter when we are there. Now, the reason being why I want to get a scooter is, first thing is, you are independent. You don't have to wait for a taxi to come, and taxis are generally pretty expensive. You want to go, from one point to another. So the scooter is very independent. It's most likely very cheap on fuel and cheap to rent. And I have saw a few websites that actually rent scooters online for about, the lowest I've seen is about $9 a day, Australian dollars a day. So we're staying about 10 days, about 10 days in Bali. So it probably won't be that much of an issue with renting, because it's very cheap. But also, if we want to go to ride around, together as a couple, and because then we feel like we are connected, or as one person or more close to each other, if we do rent a scooter, so that we can go everywhere we want to. So that's really it. So we don't have to worry about getting taxis or a car or anything like that, because it can all add up in costs, especially when they try to bump up the prices for foreigners, because again, it's the same thing in the Philippines, because they think that we have a lot of money when we generally don't. So I would love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions about scooters, hiring scooters in Bali or in the Philippines. What you think is, if it's safe to do so, if it's the right thing to do or not, or if you've been to Bali and if you did hire a scooter, please do share your stories. I would love to know. I would love to see what you guys have to say in the comments down below. So that's it. Comment, rate, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And remember, guys and girls, the world is our holiday. I'll see you guys later. Bye.